A new school year is just around the corner for students and their families. Dr. Doug Brubaker, the superintendent of Fort Smith Schools, joins us today to talk about how the district is preparing during this pandemic. Thanks for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you.
So let's start with talking about the different learning options for families. Can you briefly summarize what students and families are allowed to choose from for the upcoming school year?
Sure. We have one option that's 100% virtual that features a curriculum that's really optimized for a virtual online instructional model. And we have, at last count, about 3,200 of our students, about 22% involved in that. And they also have a blended learning model. So the blended learning model is the more traditional come to school approach, where we'll have a little bit smaller class sizes. We'll also have lessons uploaded to a learning management system, and that will give us the opportunity to pivot to online learning really quickly if at some point we need to do that in the future. So we think we've learned a lot from the spring and have worked really hard this summer and are excited to offer these options to our families this year.
Sure. For students that will be coming back in person, what is the face mask policy for both students and staff within the district?
Yes, ma'am. So the face mask policy is that all students and staff are required to wear face masks when they're not able to socially distance at school. So that is the default expectation, that we'll be wearing face masks.
And is that something that will be provided by the district, or will people be expected to bring their own?
We do have a set of face masks for each student that have been ordered, cloth face masks, and then we'll have a supply of disposable ones. Just want to really encourage our families to do their best to try to keep track of those masks so that we can continue to use those. And we're also in the process of getting some lanyards for the students that'll hopefully help them to keep track of those.
Sure. Always a difficult thing, right? Especially with the young ones. All right, let's talk about the protocol for if a student or a staff member thinks they're infected. What should they do? What are they expected to do?
Right. Well, the thing that we would ask them to do is to talk with the nurse there at the school initially. We have one point of contact that is designated for the district, and we communicate with the Department of Health directly, and then the Department of Health advises us about subsequent steps that we need to take as a school district. There's also a state hotline that's available. I don't have that in front of me right at the moment, but that's a resource that parents and families can use. A lot of times, as you know, as a parent, a student starts showing symptoms after hours, and so that's going to be a good resource to have.
Absolutely. So what is the threshold for asking students or staff members to quarantine if they've been exposed, and at what point will that potentially lead to shutting down buildings or transitioning to fully virtual learning if that's needed?
Right. Well, the criteria for determining whether a classroom or a school or the whole district needs to close is determined by the Department of Health, and so they look at a lot of different situations, look at a lot of different criteria. The short answer basically is that if we have a positive case, then of course they isolate for 10 days, and then we also have to go back and determine a positive case would have been in close contact with, work with the state to determine that, and then quarantine is based on those who are considered a close contact with people who have actually tested positive. So a lot of different variables. The thing that we are required to do, the key part of our procedure, is that open line of communication with the Department of Health, so that as the standards and the criteria and the guidance changes, we're getting the most current guidance for our students, our families, and our staff.
Sure. And simply at this point, is there an actual number cutoff, so to speak, or is it all just kind of on a case-by-case basis?
Right. There is no standard cutoff for when you would make those kinds of decisions.
Okay.
That's right. It's on a case-by-case basis.
Gotcha. Well, we do have more questions for you. We'll have those on the other side of this commercial break. Back now with Dr. Doug Brubaker, the superintendent of Fort Smith Schools, talking about the impact of COVID-19 on the school district. Doctor, let's talk about the impact for kids as they come to school and come home from school. How does the district plan to safely get kids on the bus?
Right. Well, we do ask that our parents self-screen students before boarding the bus, and so then the bus route takes kids to school in the typical way. Another thing that we've asked for our parents to do is to consider if they do live close enough that walking or bringing their children to school is an option. We'd encourage them to do that this year because that makes distancing on the bus more feasible.
Sure.
We also have masks that students will be wearing on the bus too.
Okay. If a student, for instance, has a condition like asthma, will there be exceptions made with masks in that situation?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. We are prepared to offer exceptions for masks based on health conditions.
Okay.
If it's okay, I'd like to just share that telephone number for the Arkansas Department of Health for their hotline.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's 1-800-803-7847.
Perfect. And we'll make sure to include that on our website as well when we post this video. Finally, before we let you go, we do want to talk about, we heard that there was an enrollment decline for both kindergarten and pre-K students. What do you think is leading up to that drop in numbers? Is that connected directly to the pandemic?
Well, I think it could be. I think we have a lot of parents who are looking at what I've heard just anecdotally is that we have some parents who are perhaps holding students out for another year. That's happening in some cases. We also know that there are fluctuations demographically that could account for 200 students in a district of our size. And there may be, I'm aware of some situations where parents are making other arrangements based on the pandemic too. So all those things play into it, and it may not be till the end of the year until we really know how those different factors played into some of the decisions that parents have made.
Right. Well, we appreciate your time this afternoon and for speaking with us, and good luck with the school year ahead, and stay safe.
All right, thank you.
We'll be back right after this break.